Hi, this is Cloud Computing and Big Data. Today, we are going to learn autoscaling using a cloud provider. These are the contents. Services used in autoscaling, making autoscaling with Amazon Web Services, launch configuration, autoscaling group, use scaling policies, monitoring and verification, classic load balancer, and we are going to stress the services to monitor and finally close everything so Amazon doesn't charge us. Let's say here we have an application, and in order to run this application we need at least one instance server. This is the minimum size. During the load time, let's say that the CPU and the memory goes beyond 90%. So based on that particular criteria, it is scaled out as needed with particular configuration. Now, the desired capacity that you specify will be the total number of instances launched after creating your autoscaling group. And the maximum size will be the maximum number of instances. So what is autoscaling? Scale out the number of instances as needed to handle increases in demand. Services used in autoscaling. According with the demand, autoscaling groups has a purpose. And the purpose is to increase and decrease the number of EC instances when the demand changes. When this demand changes, let's say for instance, there's a big demand here in Cyber Monday or Black Friday, so there will be an increase of instances. If the demand is low, so there will be a decrease on the instances. Now, another service is the load balancer. Web servers will be behind a load balancer, so your application doesn't need to worry about the dynamic changes in infrastructure. Now, making autoscaling with Amazon Web Services. Now, first, launch configuration. Launch configuration is an instant configuration template that an autoscaling group uses to launch EC2 instances. Then we have to do the autoscaling groups, which contains a collection of EC2 instances that share similar characteristics for the purpose of an instant scaling. So what are we going to do in the launch configuration? Launch configuration defines name, AMI, instance type, key pair, user data, security group, and IAM role. Now, where we are going to do the autoscaling group? Autoscaling group defines name, launch configuration we have created before, the name, subnet, minimum and maximum capacity, desired capacity, and the load balancer, metric and health checks. And where we're going to do this, it could be done in the schedule action or into the auto scaling policy. The schedule action helps define rules to perform a scaling action at a certain time in the future. On the other side, auto scaling policy helps define rules for dynamic increases or decreases the EC2 instance count based on the CloudWatch alarm. And when is that going to be done? All this is going to be done on the instances here. Now, stressing the servers. We are going to change the demand here in order to have problems to see how it's going to fulfill the policy rules. So here we have to know what is scale out. Scale out add more instances to deal with high demand. When there's a high demand, the CPU and memory on the servers at peak times, so then we make a scale out. On the other, scaling run fewer instances to reduce cost during periods of low utilization. The elastic load balancer balances evenly the traffic of the mountains of web access requests that must be served. And the CloudWatch reads the demand and it makes alarm, makes scale in rules and scale out rules. So when there is a scale in, is because it has to take out instance. And when there is a scale out, is because it had to add more instance. It's going to add more instance when there is a high demand, and it's going to scale in instance when there is a low demand. And in order to see the stress in the service, we need to do a rule policy. First, we write the name of the policy, then we add how many instances we want to add. And if the CloudWatch metric see that it's greater than 50, 20, 50%, so it's going to trigger and add an instance for 5 minutes period and cooldown period of 300 seconds. This is the time that it's going to take to start the instance. So let's start the configuration. We are going to make auto-scaling and load balancer with Amazon Web Services. In the launch configuration, we have to define a name, then an AMI. What is an AMI? An AMI is an Amazon machine image. It's a template that contains a software configuration. For example, an operating system, an application server, and applications. Okay, from an AMI, you launch an instance, which is a copy of the AMI running a virtual server in the cloud. You can launch multiple instances of an AMI, as shown in this picture. Now, we want to create an AMI web server with Apache Hadoop to launch multiple instances. So that's why we have to do here AMI. In here, we have to create an instance type, the keeper, the user data, security groups, and the role. So the first thing we are going to do is to create an AMI, an instance for the AMI. All right, so let's go to instance, and we are going to launch an instance. 18 T2 micro, it's okay. Now leave it as default, 8 gigabytes of memory. And then we are going to add the tag. Here we are going to call this instance web server. Next, verify everything's okay. Okay, create a new security group. Yes. Here we are going to add the HTTP and HTTPS because they allow internet traffic to reach your instance, add rules that allow unrestricted access to the HTTP and HTTPS ports, and also the SSH, because we're going to communicate with the POTI. All right, so let's go and look for HTTP. Very good. Works with the port 80. HTTPS works with the port 48 and the SSH. Good. SSH. Okay, port 22. Very good. Let's put anywhere, anywhere, anywhere. It's just for now, just to test. Okay. Now we have to add the name. The name, let's put H here. Let's write down the name HTTP SSH HTTPS. Okay, that's good. Let's continue. Review. Okay, and launch it. Here we are going to create or choose an existing key pair. In this, we are going to create. So put the name and then download, and immediately is going to download. Then we can launch the instance. We are going to keep that key because we are going to use it to communicate with the POTI. All right, let's go and check it out to view the instances. Now the instance is running, but this is the one. Very good. So we just created the instance and we are going to connect with the PuTTY with SSH to this instance we just created. We need to connect to the EC2 instance via SSH using PuTTY on Windows. We need the key pair we just downloaded when we created the EC2 instance. So first thing we are going to do is we are going to generate a key that we just got from the downloaded. Here is UNSA, this one here. This is the one. Yes. Open. Okay. And then save the private key. All right. We are going to give the location. I want to keep it in my folder right here. And we are just going to keep the name. You can change the name if you want. PPK. All right. Don't forget the extension is PPK. Good. Now we are going to use PuTTY to get access to that instance. So first thing we are going to put here is the host name. This is the host name here. As you can see right here, the DNS. You can choose this one or either this one. Either one. Paste it. And then we are going to communicate with SSH. The auth is where is the key? This is the key. Very good. Open and then open it up. Very good. There we go. And then we have to enter EC2, and then the user. This is the username. Very good. Now we have to install Apache here. Now we are going to run the program. Sudo su. Okay, sudo su. Now we are going to Zoom to install the Apache software. And I think it was install HTTPD, and I put yes. Then service HTTPD start. And this is to start the Apache 2 web server. Okay. Start. Then chkconfig httpd on. This will turn on the service. Now we just have to log out. Now we need the image of that instance, so we are going to create the image. That's what we are going to do in the next video.